I finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time a couple of days ago, and I really liked it. I liked it for the comedy, I liked it for the animation, I liked it for the story, but I also liked it because of its concepts and the themes that it brings up. And one of those themes is destiny, and I really wanted to talk about that today. And there will be spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, go watch it. It's only 3 seasons. I finished it in less than a month, and it's really worth your time. And so I define destiny as you are here in this moment for a purpose. You specifically have been chosen to be in the world at this specific time. And there is no one that embodies that more than Aang, and that's who I want to start with. Because Aang has such a clever character arc in that he really embodies the there are no coincidences idea. He goes into the iceberg when he's 12 years old to reemerge 100 years later because the world didn't necessarily need him as much when he was 12. The world needed him 100 years later so that he could defeat the Fire Lord at that time. And also in just the characters that he meets. He would not have been able to grow as a bender and as a person if he had not met Katara, Sokka, Toph, and even Zuko eventually. He would not become the person that he is at the end of the show if it wasn't for these people that he met 100 years later. And Aang also embodies your destiny is your own to make. I know that's like a little contradictory to what I said just before, but hear me out. In one of the episodes, the final episodes for season 3, Aang goes on this, I can't remember, it's like a lion turtle or something. The characters in the show are weird. And he is able to talk to all of his past lives, his past avatars. And they all say, you have to kill the Fire Lord. There's no other way. And that's not Aang's character. And so he knows it's his destiny to eventually destroy the Fire Lord. And everyone is telling him that the Fire Lord has to die. But Aang has such a great respect for life and has such great empathy that he can't do it. And when he's fighting the Fire Lord in those final couple episodes, you see he has chances to kill him, and he doesn't, because he is choosing his own destiny. He is choosing to stick to his ideals and to be the person that all of his friends and all of his experiences have formed him to become. And instead of destroying the Fire Lord, he just takes away his bending. He's showing empathy and mercy in that he doesn't kill the Fire Lord. I mean, maybe not mercy because, he just took away the Fire Lord's whole purpose, but that's a whole different talk. And Sokka and Katara's destiny is so intertwined with Aang's as well. They didn't have to be out on that boat that one day and find Aang. Like, that could have been a coincidence, but if we choose to believe in the idea of destiny, it's not. They were supposed to be there on that day to find Aang. And Zuko shows up later that day as well. And that was Zuko's destiny to show up on that day and see these characters and begin this chase that is basically the whole show. And Zuko is also who I wanted to talk about. Wow, people love Zuko. I really liked him. I thought he had a very well-deserved redemption arc. Again, there are spoilers in this. He begins as like this hero you love to hate, right? And he has in each season a step of growth. Like, it's so very clearly blocked out with one step per season. So in the first season, he's obsessed with honor. He talks about it all the time. He has to capture the Avatar to restore his honor. Like, it's a meme. And that's all he cares about. He thinks it's his destiny to capture the Avatar. And that's all he's been told, is that it is his destiny to be, so his destiny is related to the Avatar in some way. And his uncle, who is the best character in the show, Fight Me, tells him that, it doesn't have to be this way. There are different ways to restore your honor. But he really thinks that in order to restore his honor and to fulfill his destiny, he has to find and capture the Avatar. In the second season, when Zuko becomes an outcast, he begins to question his destiny, and he begins to question what he's been made for, because he's grown up in the Fire Nation as the prince, and this is all he's known. He's only ever known angst and anguish and rage and, you know, all the things that make for a villain we love to hate. And his uncle begins to persuade him and say there's more to life than revenge. There's more to life than honor. There's more to life than destiny. There's something special in just the everyday. But Zuko is not destined to live in the everyday. Zuko is destined for something greater. And as much as Uncle Iroh wants Zuko to be able to live in the everyday, ultimately it's not his destiny. His destiny, as we finally see in the third season, is to train the Avatar. And so we begin to see how we can interpret our own destiny, but our destiny takes us somewhere different. So Zuko knew that his destiny was with the Avatar, but he didn't know how. It's like when Iroh says, I thought it was so clever in one of the last episodes where he says, I've had this vision of me taking Ba Sing Se, and he thought that he would be taking it back for the Fire Nation, but he's taking it back from the Fire Nation. And that is really what happens with Zuko as well. Zuko sees his destiny with the Avatar, and he thinks, because he's been trained all his life to think that his honor and his destiny relies on capturing the Avatar, he actually takes his destiny into his own hands, just like Aang does, and goes and trains the Avatar as well. And ultimately, the way he earns his honor back is by saving Katara in the very last Agni Kai, and by helping Katara stop Azula, Zuko's sister. That is how he regains his honor and is able to accept his role as the Fire Lord, because his destiny ultimately was to become the Fire Lord, but not in the way that he expected. And by taking his destiny into his own hands, just like Aang does, he is able to fulfill his own destiny. And so I think what I'm trying to say, if I haven't said destiny enough, what I'm trying to say is that we might think that our lives are one thing. Zuko thought his life was meant to capture the Avatar. Sokka's thought his life was to, you know, just be the comedic sidekick who is always hungry or whatever. Aang thought his destiny was to kill the Fire Lord. But ultimately, none of that happens. And the emotional center of this show is how these kids are able to control their own destiny and to stick to / create their own morals and stick to them and continue them. And I think that's what I took from the show as a whole. There's so much to talk about, and I might do another video on it, just because, like, there's Azula, who just, like, is absolutely destroyed at the end, or there's the fact that, you know, there's strong female protagonists who get to be feminine. Like, there's so much more I could talk about with this show. I think what I want to take away from this show is that sometimes destiny is not necessarily something we can choose. But at the same time, we make our own destiny. And I know that sounds like complete opposites, but if you look back on your life and you see all the steps that have led you to this moment, you can see all of the places where one door shut. And instead of trying to pick the lock to get back through that door, you choose to turn around and create your own destiny. And that's what I learned from Avatar: The Last Airbender.